Hello, and welcome to Sobercast, where we provide AA speaker meetings and workshops in podcast format. We're an ad-free podcast, and if you enjoy listening, please help us be self-supporting by visiting Sobercast.com, look for the donate link, and drop $1 or $2 into our virtual basket. We hope you enjoy the podcast. Have a great day.
The purpose of the prime time Saturday night meeting is to talk about the reason to come to Alcoholics Anonymous. To expose alcoholism, not just as a word, but as a living, mind-powered disease. How the disease appears in our lives today in order to deepen our awareness of what we are up against. Alcoholism is called ism because it is alive and functioning and needs to be treated. We discuss here strictly the disease and as it manifests in each of our own personal lives. The way our behavior is this day, the way we react or look at people, places, and things. We do not talk about drunkalogs, yesterday's problems, or blaming other people. We talk only about looking inwardly, describing how self behaves in the day we are in. First, we will have a speaker who will talk about the purpose of coming to AA for approximately 25 to 30 minutes. Then we will have sharing and our questions and answers. Sharing is strictly limited to 5 minutes or less. You will receive a warning signal at the end of 3 minutes. We want everyone to have a chance to participate. We do not allow foul language, as these meetings are recorded and CDs travel all over. Okay, I'm Heather, and I'm an alcoholic. So we all know to hit up David when we want to go to Bali. That was a good friend I made. You see what AA gives me? Okay. My name is Heather. I'm an alcoholic. Tomorrow I will have 23 months sober. And probably like 6 full months treated, maybe, somewhere in there. This is a great program, and I think that the shares tonight, and by the way, happy birthday to both birthday celebrants, really expressed exactly what this program does and what it can do. And, when we were walking across the street, I'm nervous, I'm going to speak, and I think I can manage my nerves. So then here this nice guy walks up, and I'm like, oh, no, I have to talk to someone. And some reason, something in my head said, like, maybe God sent him to you. And then Ben, right? Ben came up and he said this is his second meeting, and David said to him, everyone in this room has been where he is. And I was like, that was really profound. And it's so true, and that's what makes this place actually so comfortable and so safe for us, is because we can all relate. And when I'm honest with myself, I really do feel compassion, for you and for anyone who's in their 25th year but feels like you feel. And it happens all the time. The major lie that I fell victim to was that if I have a good day, if I have a spiritual day, if I wake up on time and I pray and I read and I call another alcoholic and I bring God with me in all my affairs, that I know how to do it for the rest of my life. And I don't. And it's so disappointing that I can't just do it perfectly once and then take it with me. Because I would stop everything in my life. I would make this priority one for one day, 100%. But it just doesn't work like that. And I think it's a really good life lesson. I think that's probably how all aspects of life are. I'm 28. I'm about to graduate school. I'm looking for a full-time job. I have a lot of things going on in my life which cause me a lot of anxiety. And I just say that so that you understand my experience of my life and how I apply this program in the day that I'm in. The ego is something that causes me great pain. For me, I think the truth is it says I'm less than. Even though my actions are celebrated, even though I have accomplishments on paper that say I'm eligible for someone to be proud of me, I guess, I still struggle with the memories that I wasted about 10 years of my life doing nothing except going backwards. And when I mean backwards, like forgetting how to brush my teeth, forgetting how to shower, forgetting how to feed myself, going super backwards. And I have this insatiable desire to continue to go forwards. And I don't think that standing still is really standing still. I think if I'm not going forwards, I'm definitely moving backwards, and it's terrifying for me. So even though as I'm going through my life and I'm taking these steps to build one, severing relationships with my family, trying to grow, a close network of friends and relate to people in the meetings and have a support system here, going to school so I can avoid financial insecurity, which won't ever happen probably either. There's still always this voice that says, I'll never catch up. And it's confusing because I hear a lot of people say, you're young, you're lucky. And it has no weight because my feelings are so much stronger and the voice in my head is so much louder. And it actually, makes self say that person's stupid. That person doesn't know what they're talking about. Or I just give some different impression than the truth, which is very characteristic of the alcoholic who leads the double life. I don't think it's an effort to try and fool anyone, especially myself. I think it's just being told to take the next right indicated action is counterintuitive to what I would do. And so there are times when I feel like I'm pretending and I'm a fraud. But it doesn't matter. I'll never figure it out, and it really doesn't matter. What matters is that I'm a good person. And that's expressed through my actions, and it starts with my thoughts. And this is a mind-powered disease, and, it says glass in hand, we warped our mind. My sponsor always says glass pipe in hand, we warped our mind. Glass needle in hand, we warped our mind. Glass whatever, my mind is warped. And I spent a good, probably 6 months to a year trying to figure out if I warped it, if it's genetics that warped it, is it society that warped it? Was it something I drank at a high school party that warped it? I don't know. And I asked that question in this meeting, and this hotshot speaker was just like, I don't know, and it doesn't matter. And it was a very simple answer, and I can accept that answer for some reason. For me, there's no truth worse than a question mark for me. I have to know things, or I don't feel okay. I have to understand things, or I feel vulnerable. A perfect example is I went to another program about a week ago. First time at another, 12-step meeting, a relationship love meeting. And I was listening to the meeting, and I swear to God, I started to taste alcohol in my mouth. And I got up and left the meeting. And I don't really do that. I don't really get up and leave meetings. It's very rare that I do. I couldn't sit there and listen. And I was talking about it, with some people in this room, and they were saying that, perhaps because I couldn't understand what was being said. I didn't understand their lingo. They have a different language. They use these different terms that were super confusing to me. And I think that there may be some validity to that. So like I'm trying to express here, I'm going through life. I'm doing what feels right to me and what, has been laid out in front of me, and of course, to some degree, what I know is expected of me by society and my life, and actually of myself. And I still can't shake these feelings that I'll never get there. And there's a couple ways to live in sobriety for me. This is all my experience. The first year of my sobriety, I feel like I lived in kind of padded walled room. And what I mean by that is, I kept my routine very rigid. I kept the people in my circle pretty much the exact same. I didn't want anything external to disturb me and interrupt my path. And, I think it was Denise who was talking about white knuckling it. I feel like that's kind of like what I was doing. And like I said, I'm about to graduate, and for me, that's like a finish line. For me, that is something that typically, right at this point where I'm almost there, I would screw it up by some means. That's just typically how I roll. And I know for the first year especially, I kept my life very closed, very small, so that nothing would get in this way. And what I'm really saying with my actions is that I don't believe there's a power that can protect me, solve all my problems, take care of me, meet all my needs. And I just don't want that kind of life. I don't want to be afraid to try new things and not do them. I don't want to avoid situations because alcohol or drugs are there. You know, I love to dance and like I never go because people are always drinking and I'm just afraid to go. I'm not afraid of the alcohol. I mean, that's the honest truth. You know, it's not the easiest thing to be in like social situations without alcoholics because for so long I just made sure that you guys were all that, you know, I was with. And it's not a bad thing. I mean, perhaps that's the reason I almost, you know, that tomorrow I'm going to celebrate 23 months sober. I'm not saying that that's a bad route. I'm just saying that for myself, growth is essential for me to feel worth. And this program and these principles and reaching out to a sponsor and especially reaching out to try and help someone else is the foundation for which I can grow this life safely. And I don't know how to do it. I don't know really like how to be, you know, in a romantic relationship. I certainly don't know how to break up with one. You know, that's a lot harder. I don't, you know, and I seek advice from people and then I hate what they say and then I listen because, for example, one lady I spoke with said she didn't date for a whole year. And that was, you know, what a comfort blanket, what a cup of chicken soup, you know, like, oh, I don't have to go through these scary feelings of being alone or of, you know, feeling like I'm lacking or of experiencing something new because this woman in AA who has a great relationship, which I don't know, you never know what happens behind closed doors. I hope it is a great relationship, but I'm just saying that was her advice, don't date for a year, and I like, you know, I took that and used it as a Band-Aid for a couple weeks. And it's just, I know when something is really true for me, and that's just, I don't need that direction. And it worked for her, and that's great. But it's just not what I need right now. And I heard this guy say last year to follow your fears. And basically, that's like the scariest thing to do. What should I do next? Well, what am I afraid to do? You know, I'm afraid of sitting at an office from 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. I've never done it, and I'm terrified of doing it, and I don't know why. How do I know I won't like it? It's just because my mind says I won't, and I believe it. And so I make all these decisions to prolong that reality from manifesting, you know, like re-enrolling in school, something like that, you know, just to buy a little more time so I can grow up. And it's not going to happen if I keep waiting. It's like buying a pair of pants that you know don't fit because one day I'm going to lose the 5 pounds and I'm going to fit into them. And, you know, you hang them up and you look at them every day as you're eating your Oreos and you're like, tomorrow I'm going to get in those pants. And that's been my MO for so long is, you know, oh, I'm going to sign up for a dance class next week. I'm going to do it when I'm on vacation and I have more time or after this thing's turned in. And it's just, it's such a lie, and I'm still so enslaved to this infantile ego that's just throwing tantrums all the time. So people would talk in this meeting and they'd ask, you know, how's your mind treating you? And at first I thought they were crazy. And you know, I never heard that before. I never contemplated it. And I didn't even consider it until I started to realize that what people were saying wasn't some like new age type of lingo, that they were actually talking about a voice they wake up to that says the day is going to be terrible, and it says you're not going to make rent, and it says you'll never find a mate, and if you have one, that mate's cheating on you or is the wrong one, or the list goes on. And I think it's a little bit different for everyone, but it adapts with the times. And this voice in my head, it's a good observer, and it's always watching what I'm doing and who I'm meeting and planting little ideas in my head about what the world is. And I listen. And I know I listen because my actions follow. And, I try to think of like plenty of great examples to share with people. And the one that always sticks out to me is just when I'm at work and I have to do things where, I work at a nonprofit, we have gala events, and I'm constantly stuffing envelopes with invitations. And it's just like by the 49th envelope, I'm so angry that I'm getting an MBA and I'm sitting here stuffing envelopes. And I've even shared about that, here before, but that's how true it is for me. 6 months later, it's still the same story that I hear. And it's just not a valid source for truth. So I'm on a job search, and I was hoping to get, bless you, a full-time job at my place now, and it doesn't look like that's going to happen. And the people there are nice, and they want to help, and they ask me, how's your job search going? And I immediately think they're about to fire me. And it makes that's kind of the insanity of it. And that's, one of these classic examples of a misperception. It's one of my, first conscious realizations that I'm crazy. They're just being nice and asking how they could help. They're inquiring. Maybe they're making small talk. Who knows? But what they aren't doing is saying, pack your stuff. Put your stapler in the corner. They're not saying you're out of here. But that's what I hear. And without an awareness that the filter in my head is broken, I would believe it. And in the past, that could have inclined me to quit right on the spot. That type of moment, it would have made me sabotage whatever was going on. So I don't want to live this way in sobriety. Like I said, when I'm not sober, I'm not really like a human. And I hang out with people who don't care about humanity, and we all compete for something that we'll climb over each other for, and it's understood that it's okay because we're in pursuit of this common thing, and that we have no choice. We don't have a choice, so there's really no reason to even judge for how low we are, because we are just stuck. And although it's not that magnified in sobriety, it's still kind of like that. And it stays like that when I fail to branch out. And it stays like that when I fail to trust a power that for almost 23 months has gotten a pipe out of my mouth and a lighter out of my grasp. It used to be grasped. I'd have fingernail indentations in my palm. It's like my little vapor now. Hi, John Tarley. That was mean. I'm sorry. Are you even listening? I'm not captivating enough for you? What's going on? It just makes me feel ashamed to know that I'm sober and I have all this opportunity for growth and enlargement, and I don't take advantage of it. It makes me feel sad. It makes me feel ashamed. And alcoholism is a disease of shame and guilt, and it's unnecessary. Because every time I realize that I have no control over my memories and my dreams, even my feelings or my nerves, I automatically admit complete defeat. And in that moment, there is some type of surrender. And there are bigger surrenders and surrenders that have more depth and weight than others. Some people surrender in the grocery line when 11 people are in the 10-line checkout. that's not really me. That's not where I go. But when I try to manage every minute in my day to make the most use of it, by like going on Google Maps to actually calculate the time my route's going to take me, when I'm walking back and forth, when I'm sending an email and then going back to my sent box to make sure it's sent, even though I saw it send, I know that I'm in self. And I don't think of a way, how can anyone in that state of mind be helpful to anyone? It's just like a rat, going on the hamster wheel. And, that's just kind of a light and fluffy day, but there are so many other examples that actually, kind of haunt me. This idea of just like being alone was the most terrifying idea that I could have contemplated. And it really just led me to see how I have so much faith in people and no faith in a power greater than myself. And the way I have began to overcome this is through a lot of experimentation. And just like David was saying, if you seek, you shall find, that's exactly right in my opinion, that when I ask for God's help and I'm receptive to all possibilities that it's here, I certainly find it. And, seeing you on the crosswalk, it's a small example, but for me, it's an example. And enough little examples, they become a collection of examples. And enough moments where I feel connected become a collection of something that I refer to as faith. And it's when I don't remember that faith is available and is meaningful and is mine that I'm in pain and angst and worry and confusion. It says I'm a creator of confusion. I hate when people share and they say we. It makes me angry because I feel like they didn't ask my permission to be included in their claim. And no one consulted with me, and perhaps I don't fit that bill. And it's just another example of how I feel like I'm different or less than or I guess better than. It makes me angry. So I try to speak in I a lot too. And that's why I'm really trying to concentrate on my own experience. And I'm surprised right now because usually when this happens to me, when I share, I say I'm really anxious to hear from you guys and I run off the stage. But I'm not nervous right now, and I'm actually really comfortable in the silence, and it's fun actually. I'm in control of the whole meeting. But there's just nothing to be afraid of. I'm an alcoholic and I'm sober, and it's by the grace of God. And there are so many people in my life who are available to help me through these trying times. And I'm the type of person that doesn't like to reach out. I really don't. Until the pain is absolutely unbearable. And then I become such a nuisance. But it doesn't matter because no one here has ever refused me. Absolutely no one. And that's unusual. But I think it's like what I was saying in the beginning, that we all have a common bond here, and it's that, or we've all been where the newcomer has been, and some of us have been the old timer with newcomer feelings. And it's important for me to remember that the moment is the only one that counts. And that's where gratitude comes from for me. It's healthy for me to have an understanding that just because I have a connected day or a treated day or a great day, it doesn't mean it's going to last forever. That's a healthy fear for me to have so that I don't rest on my laurels. On the other side, it can be unhealthy if in the great moment I recognize, here a dooms moment is, just around the corner. And I'm thinking, when that thought comes up, when in a great moment I'm thinking about a moment that's going to be terrible, I've already taken myself out of that moment that was great. And I rob myself of something that, is really precious. When Denise was up here crying, I started to get teary-eyed too. which is no surprise because I'm a very emotional person and I'm really sensitive to other people's feelings. But I really understand why those tears are so meaningful for her, and I think they're the best when you don't expect that they're coming. I mean, that's really from like the depths of your soul and the bottom of your stomach. And some people in the world don't get to experience that. And it is beautiful that we can want to give up on ourselves and other people won't, or won't let us. And that's why I can't just do this program with God. I have to include other people. That's the point. And, I don't have a sponsee, and I've never had one that's gone through all 12 steps. But there are a few girls who I speak with on the phone. And we have some really great conversations. And it really does make me feel like I'm part of something greater than myself. And I'm really proud to be a member of AA. I gotta be honest. I think that this gives me one leg up on a lot of people. I know, as crazy as that sounds. But it does. It's because the book has such specific directions for the emotions that come up. And when I feel disturbed, I pause and call someone or turn my attention to someone else. And I think that other people, or those without a program of recovery, is that 5 minutes? No way. I've never made it this far. I haven't. That they don't have, they don't have a roadmap to deal with certain things. And I always do hear when I'm disturbed, there's something wrong with me. And I get to take a look at what instincts are being affected. And when I recognize that it's just my alcoholism and that the world's really not ending, I'm, graced with great relief. And I don't think God gives me more than I can handle. I think it's true that everywhere I go, the problem follows me. And I think God follows me everywhere too. And I don't see why He would set me or anyone else up for failure. I don't believe in that. And I wasn't brought up religious, but I'm definitely willing to consider there's a power that can not just keep me sober, but that can solve all my problems for me. That can give me a life beyond my wildest dreams. And for me, that is those emotions you were just experiencing. That's, you can't return it, you can't purchase it, you can't put a price on that. No one can ever take that away from you, and that's your moment. And it's just really great to be alive and experience things like that and be able to give that to someone else. My sponsor will always ask me, how free do you want to be? And he never remembers he says that, but he does. He tells me. And, I'm not perfect and I make mistakes and I know that there are areas that I need to tighten up. But that line, how free do you want to be, really drives me to make those amends and really drives me to try to be as honest as I can in the moment in my affairs. And it's so important. I think it's so important to practice that principle of honesty and accountability because reputation is really important. And to combat the character that I used to live in, I have to utilize this moment with a new set of principles that define a new character. And I have absolutely no power to do that on my own. But it can be achieved when I reach to you guys, and it's achieved when I reach for a power I call God. And there are some miraculous stories in this room. And some miraculous stories of people who are absent from this room right now that they just blow me away. And to think that God's not going to help me find a full-time job is just ludicrous when God has, taken a spatula and scraped us off sidewalks and placed us in clean clothes and fed us and put us here a lot of us with gas, in the car and a home to go to with an actual key to lock the door, not climbing through the window or squeezing through bars. And to some people, those things are requirements and, might look at me and think I'm weird or funny for appreciating those things. But when I appreciate the small things, there's a lot of small things to appreciate. If I'm just waiting for the big grand ones, I might be a little sour all day long. And that's what I mean by a leg up, is that I have been given an opportunity to view life as full of opportunities. And now it feels correct to stop. Thank you guys so much. And Kat, thank you for having me. Would someone like to read the 12 traditions? Yep, please.
Okay, the 12 traditions. 1. Our common welfare should come first. Personal recovery depends upon AA unity. 2. For our group purpose, there is but one ultimate authority, a loving God as He may express Himself in our group conscience. Our leaders are but trusted servants. They do not govern. 3. The only requirement for AA membership is a desire to stop drinking. 4. Each group should be autonomous except in matters affecting other groups or AA as a whole. 5. Each group has but one primary purpose, to carry its message to the alcoholic who still suffers. 6. An AA group ought never endorse, finance, or lend the AA name to any related facility or outside enterprise, lest problems of money, property, and prestige divert us from our primary purpose. 7. Every AA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. 8. Alcoholics Anonymous should remain forever non-professional, but our service centers may employ special workers. 9. AA as such ought never be organized, but we may create service boards or committees directly responsible to those they serve. 10. Alcoholics Anonymous has no opinion on outside issues, hence the AA name ought never be drawn into public controversy. 11. Our public relations policy is based on attraction rather than promotion. We need always maintain personal anonymity at the level of press, radio, and films. 12. Anonymity is the spiritual foundation of all our traditions, ever reminding us to place principles before personalities.
Okay, so the meeting is now open for sharing. Who would like to begin? Yep.
Hi, I'm Christine. I'm an alcoholic. Hi. Thank you so much. I would like to say that you completely got me out of my head, but I'm so just feeling guilty and kind of like run rampant today that I just sitting in the mess of things and feeling trampled and having a little pity party for myself, even though I don't know. Isn't it funny how we'll have pity parties for ourselves about the fact that we're terrible people? I just find that, I don't know. And congratulations on your birthday, Denise and David. No, you're sitting right there. I can only hope to get that far. So, so I'm really grateful for this, but it's horrible to be sober and realize how much of a liar, cheat, and a thief you are, and just have it sitting in front of you like, oh great, I'm still a klepto. Oh, thanks for that. I still can't go to Venice and not steal something. Even if I have money on me. I can't do it. I just can't. I have to steal something. I have to. I can't walk into a liquor store and not steal candy. I can't do it. I can't not lie at least once a day. I have to tell a lie a day. Just lie about one thing. It can be a little lie, but I have to lie about one thing, and I can't. it's horrible, like being sober and just noticing all these things about myself because I have nothing to dull the pain of how horrible a person I am. And I don't want to be this person, and I feel like I'm taking steps in the right direction, but the truth is I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just, looking to my sponsor and other people that I admire in this program, and I'm like, okay, I know that they have what I want, but, I feel so far away from that. It's like I've always felt like I was a really good person so that I could hate my outsides and my insides were okay, so I could be okay. And now I'm realizing how fucked up I am on the inside. Sorry. Oh my God, sorry. And so now I'm realizing that both of them are not okay with me, and I just feel so wrong. And I don't know, like stopping lying and cheating and thieving is just as hard as stopping using. So I feel like I should have a sponsor for that too. Anyways, thank you for letting me share.
John, alcoholic.
Hi, John.
Thanks, Heather. I just wanted to come up here because that was good. That was good to hear. I needed to hear that, and I was coming over here tonight, going to myself, saying to myself, why do I need to go to this meeting on Saturday night? Drive over the hill. Why do I need to come over here? I've asked myself that so many times, so for the same reasons. And I get to these primetime meetings with a good speaker talking about, alcoholism, ego, and self, and the self-talking ego inside, and I need to be reminded every time. It's great. You reminded me, and I got over here. You were really easy to listen to, and that's, for me, that's a little minor miracle or major miracle because I can't listen to people. I don't even think I was really talking to God, asking God to help me listen tonight, which is unusual. So I appreciate that. So thanks. And I'm sorry I missed the birthdays. Sounds like it was inspirational. There was something that you were talking about, that I needed to hear also is that, because I resting on the laurels, and you're feeling good and things are going your way, and then you think that I don't deserve it, there's something around the corner. Wait, I'm just in denial. I can't pay my rent. I'm not making enough. I can't be happy. I don't, that doesn't make sense. So, boom, boom, so what do you do about that? And then, and you were talking about defeat. And I'm finally, I think, in this, my sobriety, I'm starting to realize how I can apply that right in the moment, right in the day, and that's just so simple. And it so puts you right where you need to be. And like you say, it's I've got all I need. It's a miracle, alcohol, AA really gives me, I'm grateful alcoholic too. Without this program, I wouldn't be anywhere near, I wouldn't even know what spirituality means. I still barely know what it means. But it means a lot to me. and I don't know what it means, but I know it means a lot. And I'm so grateful that I've got a higher power that I get to talk to and admit complete defeat to and bring it into my day. And I'm really grateful I got to come over here. This meeting's always here every Saturday night. Good speaker like you, there's always a reason to come. I'm going to, keep on remembering that, hopefully. Thanks.
Joel Alcoholic. I'm very grateful tonight to be an alcoholic. Seems like we have a small crowd tonight, so I'm not as nervous. Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God. That seems like a tall order. It's every day I wake up with alcoholism, and lately I've been trying to fight everything. Just looking for fights, picking fights. Everyone, just get out of my way, Instead of seeing children of God, I see people who are in my way. And I thought that was over, I thought that I had passed that time in my life, like you hit the 2-mile mark or the 2-year mark and you're just done with alcoholism. It doesn't work like that. So I want some time back, that the meat grinder took from me. The meat grinder has been taking information and grinding it up and crapping it out and making everything harder for me, And I can make a decision to turn my will over to the care of God, or I can turn my will over to the care of God. And it's easier said than done a lot of the times, I don't just wake up and get spiritual. I haven't been practicing any sort of discipline. I go to the gym and that's a discipline for me. And I have no problem doing that. I have no problem going to the gym and building up my pomp and my ego. I have no problem doing that. But what I do have a problem with is waking up in the morning and remembering that my alcoholism is going to be on me all day if I don't ask God to be with me. And that's been the hardest thing that I've been dealing with. So it's been robbing me of moments of the day, days. It's been weeks. The other day I mentioned, that I don't remember what I mentioned. But there is one who has all power, and that one is God. And that's what I don't have any doubt in. My alcoholism thoroughly beat me into submission. So I know that. I know that. That's a fact for me. But still the alcoholism says, you can control that. You can go back. You can try to drink again like a normal person does without hitting the pipe. Or anything else. The obsession of the mind, the obsession of the alcoholic mind knows no bounds. It just takes over everything. And I'm glad to have found this program, and I'm glad to have a power that I can actually turn it over to. And it also helps me to come to this meeting because I hear people who no longer are robbed of these days and these weeks and these months of their lives because their alcoholism is taken over again. And I have a moral stop sign that I hit, and I've hit the red light again. And yeah, I talk to alcoholics on a daily basis. Sometimes they give me the information that I want to hear, and sometimes they don't. And when they don't give me the right information, or I put it into the meat grinder and it comes out, that's crap. So anyway, that's what I've been dealing with. I'm very grateful to be here, and I'm grateful this is my home group. Thank you.
my name's Chutney, and I'm an addict alcoholic. And Heather, I could just listen to you all night. It's just so pleasant to hear you speak, and I love your presence. And so I've been having a bad month, and I've been sick on and off again, and it's hard. One thing I realized while I'm sitting there is that I can't fix a broken brain with a broken brain. I forget that. And I keep trying. I keep trying to fix my broken brain with a broken brain. It's not working. So, so thank you for the reminder that I have to go to something else. Not my broken brain. I have to go to something else. You guys, higher power, something. Because I'm not able to fix it. I don't have the answers. Too limited. Not feeling good. Don't have a positive attitude. Think y'all suck. I suck. So it's like, boy, I sure don't have any answers. But I can get reminded. And I forget. And then I beat myself up for forgetting. Oh, I'm supposed to remember this stuff. And I always forget. So, I have homework for everybody. Get up in the morning, put one hand on your heart, and the first thought, you have conscious thought, what am I grateful for? Oh, grateful that I have a bed to sleep in. Oh, not being rained on. It helps. It really helps. I loved what you said about fear and something about going after the fear, or how did you say it? Follow your fear. I love that. And application of that seems really tough. It seems easy to talk about it, but what I would like to ask you, Heather, is this relationship with self. You've been around for a while. You know the language. You know the definitions of this particular group, and I would just like to hear you talk and share about relationship to self. It says in this group that, it's hard for self to reveal self to self. And I have the hardest time seeing myself. I can help everybody else tons, but I can't help myself. I have a really hard time lately helping myself. And so it's that relationship to myself that is baffling to me right now. And I need a reminder. I need something to help me get back on track with that. Could you speak to that a little bit? Thank you.
Well, what comes to mind is that self can't reveal self to self because I'm in full flight from reality, and I'm an outright mental defective. By definition, I deny what is and say it isn't. So I'm just, asking myself, how could I see me clearly if I can't see anything else clearly? And the inventory is supposed to be helpful in revealing my character, its defects and shortcomings. The primetime definition, I'm not that great with the language. I don't really know. It would probably be some unconscious layer that is, related to primordial instincts for belonging and for reproduction and for sex. But if anyone else wants to answer that, I'd be happy to.
Hi, my name is Ron, and I am an alcoholic. I don't have all the answers. I was reading in spiritual literature today that was talking about ego and a warped mind. And this literature was written for civilians, alcoholics, everybody. It was not simply like an AA book. And it said that thinking and thoughts that do not come from a source of truth create a warped mind and a warped experience because they're not based in truth. truth, capital T. So there's only one source for truth, and that's a power greater than me, the power that created the universe. So my own personal belief, and this is just me, is that we alcoholics are not the only ones to have warped minds. Certainly I do my own thinking. That same thinking creates a warped sense of self, because my self-concept comes from me and my experiences from early childhood, from whatever. So, given my drinking experiences, mine personally had 23 years, we do everything to extreme. I have even warped my mind to an extreme. It would make sense to me that that kind of concept, self-concept, if you wish, is something that I cannot fix myself. So this is where power greater than me comes in. Any of these things, if I'm trying to fix it myself, for me, forget it, doomed to failure. What self is going to produce and what ego is going to produce is what it always produces. So all I have to do is look at my track record, and that's what I'm going to get in the future if I keep going to my mind without God as a source of information. So the thing is, how can I build a relationship with God in the day that I'm in? How can I have a friendship with God, somebody who really has my back? That is my best friend, that is omnipresent, all-knowing. This is what I need in my life. And all of us have that source right within us. It's not out there, it's within. And this program helps us develop that relationship. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Judy and I have alcoholism. Thank you so much for sharing. It's always so great. And congratulations on your MBA. That's very exciting. It's a great meeting. I love this meeting. Thank you, Ron, and happy birthday. It's really inspiring. I love celebrating birthdays. And I wanted to speak to that question, Chutney, and I love you, Chutney. You know, self can't reveal self to self, because self is the character that I created based on an old idea. So I have a lot of beliefs, you know, that women should cook and clean, and this is the truth. And how do I know that? Because that's how I grew up, and that's what my grandma did, and that's what her, you know what I mean? But I don't even know this is an old idea that self created based on my environment, and I think that's truth. And then it's causing me problems because I'm trying to work 2 jobs and cook and clean and do all these things. And I'm trying to manage. It's creating the manageability, and then I'm not appreciated, and then I want to kill him, and you know what I mean, and all the insanity. But I think it's a truth, and self can't reveal self to self, and because I'm living from it as a truth and I'm consulting self, nothing is revealed. And when I go to my sponsor, and she goes, hold on a second, let me see what you're doing, and I map it out for her, she's like, well, he should do his own laundry. And it's like the sound of broken glass. What? That can't happen. Men don't do laundry. It's not right. Right? You know? So it's just like that's a small, maybe dramatic example. But whatever that is, that's the old idea that I think I have to be, or you have to be, or he has to be, or they have to be. I'm filled with old ideas created in self. That character that got developed in my culture, in my religion, in my household, in my upbringing, in my world. And the only way to unravel all of that, because that can't even get unraveled all in a measly little small 4th step. A lifetime, you know, I don't know about y'all, I got here at 25, some people get here 50, some people get here whenever. That's a lot of old ideas. It's not going to come out in 1/4 step, right? So I got to be on the phone with a human being, with a sponsor that has a non-biased perspective and can start to help me see all of my, you know, beliefs. And then I can start to look as an adult in sobriety, is this belief serving me or not? You know, because I can have the belief about doing the laundry as long as I'm not making him pay the price for my belief about doing the laundry. I have to take responsibility for that's my belief, right? But then coming from that perspective, when I'm able to talk it out with a third person, a non-biased third party, I can take a look at all of my old ideas, and then I can decide in sobriety, in a new character, whether those old ideas still serve me or not, and whether or not they now empower my sobriety, and then I can choose to keep them or discard them as is appropriate. Ad infinitum till I die. On everything. On my work, on my man, on my relationship with friends, on the way I dress, on the way I cook, on whatever I'm doing, right? Whenever there's a disturbance, I gotta look at me, and it's probably an old idea that I'm holding on to that I'm not aware is influencing my experience. And then when I talk about it with my sponsor or my spiritual advisor or someone in the program, that person can help me see, wait a minute, let's take another look at that perspective. Then I can get to distance and clarity about it, and then I can then choose from a clean, free place in this program from a new character. And it goes on and on and on and on and on. You know, so, I mean, yeah, there's the complexity of my alcoholism and the little voice and all those things, but then there's just all the old ideas. You know, so that's the beautiful thing about being able to come to meetings and being able to hear a solution and being able to go to a power greater than myself and being able to pray and being able to bring some perspective into my situation and having the human help to help me see where the gap is between where I am and where I want to be and what's in my way, because I can't see it. Thanks.
You may just want to, Chetney, also like ask God to show you who you are.
I'm Rebecca and I'm an alcoholic. Thank you so much. I hear you speak every day. Life is in session. And so when I come, I get to hear you speak, and it's clearer and clearer every time. And it again shows me that God is real, because I get to watch women progress and change. And so I really, really identified with a lot of the things that you talked about. And I needed to hear that. And what I heard was that I don't do life without my mind trying to still convince me that I'm not important and that I'm not good enough, even when everything is secure, and that I'm outright mentally defective, and I do not know what's real in the day that I'm in if I'm operating from my mind. And it's very painful. And it's been my experience that the pain changes as I change in this program for me. It's what used to be just the pain of, or the grief and loss of no longer, saying goodbye to drugs and alcohol. Like, there's a grief and loss of that, and that's one type of pain. And then there's the pain that comes with bills and responsibilities and being an adult. I need a really big God. And my God is constantly changing because the life is constantly moving forward. And I really identified with, I spent so much time wasted, and now I'm insatiable for going forward. And I'm eligible to have a lot of praise on paper as well. I love that, how you framed that, because it's like I can identify with that as well. And you're young and you don't know, and it's just like you should be so fortunate. And I'm just like, that's so invalidating because I'm having a totally negative experience of self, and I hate myself in this moment. And thanks. So if I go and if I go to my mind, and I've hit a really deep emotional bottom recently in sobriety, in relation to my character defect of perfectionism and control, and it's been very painful. And because I'm so muscular in my resistance and my ego is so muscular, I need to be beaten into a state of submission, emotionally beaten. And this muscularity is a nice way of putting it. So I need a really big God, and I can't afford to not connect with God in the day that I'm in. I thought, like when I first wake up, and I'm a mom, and I have this beautiful family, and I wake up and I'm angry and I hate them and I don't want any part of them, and my partner tells me that he loves me in the morning, and I'm like, what is he saying to me? He's lying, and it's horrible. And I am wasting so much time. I am wasting so much time not embracing and not enjoying these little things. I take for granted all the time. And so I was told I get to set the emotional tone in my household with God. And I've been trying that on. I get to try on things all the time, but I really have been, I'm just going to say this and I'll my muscularity in my ego is because I think that I don't need to connect because I'm all these things. I'm a mom, I'm a worker, I'm in graduate school, I have all these things, and it's like I don't need God. God, that's okay. Like I'm going to hit the ground running, and God can maybe just kind of catch up with me. And I have been operating on that for quite some time, and it has been, and the greatest gift is that God has shown me time and time again who is God, and it's not me. And God loves me so much, and I have to reframe it for myself. With all the emotional pain, He loves me so much that He'll just give me all these challenges created by self so I can know it, the source, whatever, better in a deeper way, not just an intellectual way, because I'm morbidly smart. So, but thank you so much.
Ooh, okay, so I'm Dan. I'm an alcoholic. And we come a long way to be at this meeting because of the message that you shared tonight. And I want to thank you and everybody in Prime Time. It's relatively new for us to be coming here the last couple months or so. And the message is... self cannot reveal self to self, right? The understanding of the thought process in the alcoholic mind, the pure simple phrase of outright mental defect that we all sort of nod our heads to when someone says that. These are really, really important for me, and I'm really here to ask a question, both to be in gratitude for this meeting and the format that it provides. I'm just a little over 5 years sober, and blessed to have found this format because there's an insatiable desire within me to learn more about my stinking thinking. And this format provides a new avenue for me that I didn't know existed, and I'm grateful for that. So, and so many people ask so many good questions today that, the sort of question I have to you, Heather, is so much of what you talked about, which is, if you're not growing, you feel like you're going backwards. If you're not, you're struggling with the fears of finding a career and being able to pay the rent and do these things and struggling with self-identity and the broken filter and how to understand what you see versus what's the truth, right? And those are very dramatically different in my world. And so I'm wondering what you use on a daily basis to establish your conscious contact with your higher power, and our sort of sanity is contingent upon the maintenance of our spiritual condition. And I'm always want to know how do you do that? What do you do? What have you learned through your experience in this program that you can help share? Thank you.
I'm going to answer this real quick so that Mike can come share. What has worked for me, hands down, and it took me about 1.5 years to get into, is meditation. 5 to 10 minutes a morning. Or when my day's really bad, I leave the office and go into the car. And on my lunch break, sometimes I'll spend half of the lunch break in the car, window crack, listening to the birds just breathing. And I have to tell you that I can walk into that car in a day that looks stormy and gloomy. It happened for me on Monday. I walked in the car in tears, 20 minutes of meditation, and I walked out of the car and had a fabulous evening. Like, hands down, and when the meditation doesn't work, I break down and call my sponsor. That's what I do. Okay, one of many.
Hi, my name is Mike, one of many, and I love you, Heather. I am an alcoholic, and I'm so glad to see my friend Kat and Julia in the house. I don't know where you are, Julia, but where? Anyways, next to where? Okay. Anyways, I'm glad you're back. I wanted to share something that happened. I had a spiritual experience up at Veterans Park up in Sylmar. I was reading Chuck C's new pair of glasses, and man, the light went on. And it was sad. It was sad and it was good all at the same time. Sad that I didn't get it sooner, but glad that I got it. But will I keep it? We'll see. But the cool part was, here I'm reading him relay the story of this guy, the coach. His name was Paul. And he could recite chapter 3, chapter 5. He could tell you everything about the big book and the 12 and 12. But he was dying. He was dying. And Chuck C says, we had to watch him die. Because he didn't take the steps off the wall. He didn't take the steps off the wall and live it. And I had this religious conversation with my mom today, and I love her. But she's saying, all you need is Jesus. And I love her. But I said, Mom, you're not an alcoholic. I said, finding a higher power and turning my will and my life over to is one of the biggest components of my sobriety. But working with another alcoholic, sharing my experience, strength, and hope, and also turning in my thinking to someone that has, like you were sharing, an unbiased thought to what my mind is telling me is a great idea. Let's go out and do this. That, I said, Mom, is what separates me from maybe someone going to church. Because I went to church and got fed all this good information, but it still didn't help me stop drinking. It still didn't help me self-destructing. And the thing that I loved that Chuck C said was, I cannot think my way to good living. I have to act my way to good thinking. And with that, I will... Did you stay present for that whole thing? That was for you. All right. Thank you.
Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Sobercast is ad-free, and we'd like your help in order to keep it that way. So if you'd like to help us be self-supporting by pledging $1 or $2 a month, visit Sobercast.com and look for the donate links. Thank you very much.